here, quick little recording on our second day of Adobe Animate. We're going to get in and create a new file, same dimensions as our snowman. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Now in our announcement section, we have two Illustrator files. The first one is this background, and this is kind of where we got to in our demo, is animating some of these leaves and branches. So we're going to do the same demo as a kind of a compressed recording just to cover the steps. So we're going to go ahead and copy that background out of Illustrator, and we're going to paste it into Adobe Animate, and we're going to paste it in as an AI file. All right, so we're going to switch to the old free transform. I'm going to hold down Shift, scale proportionately, and I'm just going to scale it down enough so that I can get some of the textures from the file in my canvas area. So just remember that this is all trimmed off. The only thing that matters is inside of our property borders. Now, something you may notice when I copied out of Illustrator into Adobe Animate and I maintained all my layers in my paste, it came in as a symbol, a movie clip symbol, and that's what we're going to be working with today. If yours comes in as a grouped object, you will need to right-click on it, convert it to a symbol, and make it a movie clip, because we're going to be dealing with movie clips in this demo. Now, for our class demo, we did 4 seconds this time. So we highlighted our frames and our timeline, and we did insert frame. The reason we did that was to make sure that every object we brought into our movie had the potential to run for 4 seconds. So this is kind of the basis of our document. I'm going to go back into Illustrator, and I'm going to get rid of that because we don't need it anymore. And I'm going to come down here and I'm going to ungroup our object. The reason I ungrouped it is because I want just this branch. So I'm going to copy it, bring it into Adobe Animate. I'm going to paste it. I'm going to keep all of my properties. So here is my branch. Remember, this creates a new layer with a keyframe at keyframe 1. And so I'm going to name the first layer texture, because that's my watercolor background. I'm going to name the second one tree branch. And here is my tree branch. Now you'll notice it came in as a movie clip. If yours comes in as a grouped object, make sure you control click and make sure you make it a movie clip. Now, I'm going to transform it. So I'm going to do the whole shift and I'm going to scale it down. And I'm going to put it right up here in the corner. Now, with your free transform, remember from last class, the center dot is called the registration dot, or the waist of the object. I'm going to move it up to the corner. The reason I'm moving it up to the corner is because it will allow me to pivot from the end of the branch. Now, once I have it in there, I now have a keyframe in frame 1, and it's showing it as status quo for the full length of the 120 frames, or 4 seconds. Now, the difference for this day's process is instead of this being a graphic, it is now a movie clip. And when a symbol is a movie clip, or an object is grouped and made into a symbol, a movie clip has a timeline inside of itself. So I'm going to double click on here, and you're going to notice when I copied and pasted, it actually brought in several layers, but the only layer I need is layer 3. So I'm going to delete the other layers because those were clipping masks that were in Illustrator that when I copied the branch over, it attached to that graphic. Now, if you copied yours in and it was a grouped object and didn't come in as a movie clip, and you converted it to a movie clip in our main timeline, then you will have only one layer. And we're going to call this branch Animate. Now, we're going to draw a big selection box to select the entire branch, because remember, this timeline is inside of our movie clip. So scene 1 is where our branch is as a movie clip. When we double click on the symbol, we are inside the symbol. Well, we also want to make the branch inside the symbol, not just a bunch of little vector shapes. We want to make it a graphic. So we're going to say branch graphic. And we're going to keep it as a graphic symbol. Now, remember, when you make it a graphic symbol, or any symbol, we have to move this registration mark. So we're going to move it inside of our timeline as well, our symbol timeline. Now, right now it is just 1 frame long, but we want to animate this thing for 2 seconds. So we're going to insert a keyframe. So now you'll see we have our keyframes. We have this one, meaning this is its first position, and at 2 seconds, this is its second position. So I'm going to rotate the branch at keyframe at 60 marks. So you see how it looks like a wiper? It goes back and forth. This keyframe for 1 to 59 has in this position, and at frame 60, we're telling it we want it to change to this position. Now, when we did the snowman, we inserted keyframes all along the timeline and slowly rotated the object so that we could change its position. So we did what's called frame by frame animation. Well, Adobe Animate also has the process which is called tweening. So the way tweening works is it will fill in all of the positions between keyframe 1 and keyframe 60 if we tell it to. And we can tell it by right-clicking inside of our frame area and telling it that it is a classic tween. So now you're going to see it fills in every position between frame 1 and frame 60. So we're now animating this movie clip inside of itself using a tween process. So let's go up to here and we'll go back out to our timeline. Now, everyone was like, oh, it's not working. Look, I'm moving my main tracker and it's not animating. The way Animate works, when you put motion inside of symbols, inside of movie clips, you have to test your movie. So when you test it, you'll see that it does its movement. Now, we could take this one step further. If we double click on this, what happens if we add another keyframe at 60? So we cover the full length of our movie. And let's rotate it a little, let's rotate it back. And then let's add our classic tween between it. And so now you'll see it goes down and it comes back. So now watch what happens inside our movie. Control, test. And now you're going to see down and back up. Down and back up. So when you make a grouped object, a symbol, or you take a vector graphic or an object that you paste in and you make that grouped object a symbol, you can either make it a graphic, which means there's nothing built inside of it for movement, or you can make it a movie clip, which allows you to put animation inside of it. I do almost 100% movie clips when I'm doing animations now, because even if I end up not animating the object inside of itself, it's nice to have it as an option. So we're going to go in now and we're going to do our second thing we did in class. We're going to take one of these leaves. So here is our leaf. So I'm going to copy it. I'm going to bring it into Animate. I'm going to make sure that my ticker tracker is back at frame 1. I'm going to make sure I'm in scene 1, so I'm out in the main part of the movie, and I'm going to paste. And you'll notice my object comes in. Now mine came in as a movie clip. If yours does not, you need to right-click or control-click and convert it to a movie clip. So you want to make sure that this thing is a movie clip, and we're going to name this Leaf. And we're going to lock our tree branch now that it's moving. And so I'm going to move my leaf over here. I'm going to hold down Shift, scale it down a little bit. I'm going to put my leaf, I'm going to put it right here. So here is my leaf. Now remember, this is only, see how it's just stuck there? It's one keyframe goes the length of 120. Now, if we select it, it's a movie clip. If we double click on our leaf, remember it brings us to inside our leaf. And so remember it has a clipping mask. And so we're going to trash layer 4, trash layer 2, and trash layer 1. And now layer 3 is our leaf, which is right here. Now remember, it is a broken apart graphic when you go inside of the movie clip. So let's control click. Let's convert it to leaf falling. Let's make it a graphic. And so here is our leaf falling. Now we want our leaf to fall twice in our movie. So we're going to go here and we're going to insert a keyframe. I'm going to hold down shift so it stays in its place, and I'm going to drag it to the bottom of the screen. So now we have the leaf at the top of the screen, and I'm actually going to move it just off the top a little bit to right there. And so now you see it's there, and then it's down the bottom there. So just like our branch, I'm going to control click and create a classic twain, and our leaf is going to fall down. So if we test our movie, right, if we do control test, there is our leaf falling down through our screen. Remember, it's the animation inside of itself. So I got to double click on here again. I'm going to, now the last little part of what we did in class, just to show the depth of what Adobe Animate is capable of doing. I'm going to move my tracker back to frame 1, and I'm going to control click, and I'm going to add a motion guide. So this was the last little thing we did in class. I'm going to make sure that I'm on my motion guide layer under frame 1. I'm going to use my pencil, and I'm going to make a guide for our leaf. Now you'll notice that the leaf automatically tried to snap to the guide. So I'm going to move it up to the top, kind of the beginning of the guide. I'm going to move my timeline tracker all the way down to the bottom, and I'm going to snap it at the bottom. And now you're going to notice it follows my guide. Now we went and hid our guide so that you don't see the guide, you only see the leaf falling. So there it is. Now, the last little part of our demo today was we showed that if you click your mouse inside of your tween, anywhere inside your tween, it gives you the tween properties. And one of the properties that's really cool is that you can rotate this thing. So now watch the leaf when it falls. It looks like it's actually falling like it would if it was falling off of a tree. And so there's our animation. Now, something we didn't do, but if you click here, you'll see there is color effects. And so you could play around with this thing a little bit. Change its tint. And so let's make it a little more green. And so let's go back to our alpha and make it 100%. And so now you can see that we can play with the color in this a little bit. Now, last little part of the process is control test movie. And here is our little leaf falling down. Now, this is how far we got in class with our demo, but keep in mind we could copy and paste this leaf over and over again. How funny is that? We could copy our branch. It'll look like windshield wipers. So just for the sake of the process, let's just swing it over here. See what happens. So let's select our leaf. Make it a little bit smaller. That one down there. This one like here. Now, you get the idea with Adobe Animate. You have graphic symbols and you have movie clips. Movie clips have timelines inside of themselves, which allows you to really build a depth of animation with very simple principles or properties. You'll actually notice that our outside timeline only has a keyframe at frame 1 and everything else is just frames, because all of the animations for each object we brought into Animate is stored inside of itself. So you could have a movie with 400 frames of animation that is just keyframes at frame 1 for every single layer, and then we built the animations inside of themselves. So you can really make a pretty complicated movie or animation by building tons of movie clips and putting animations inside of them. I hope you enjoyed kind of an introduction to Adobe Animate. For those of you that missed class today for sports and other reasons, please submit an FLA file, your Adobe Animate file, with a leaf moving, falling down, and with a branch swaying. That's where we got in class. Okay, gang, have a great weekend.